what happened is Democrats are, it's like they get memed into things, right? We joke about lowering the voting age, not us, but you get it. And they have now taken it to the extreme, of course, in which they have said, yeah, why don't we lower the voting age? And Ayanna Pressley was, of course, as indicative right here, was talking about it not too long ago. A quote coming from her. Ayanna Pressley was a Democrat out of Massachusetts, if I'm not mistaken, or is it Maryland? I don't know where she's from. Somewhere not South. Says our young people are organizing, mobilizing, and calling us to action. They are at the forefront of social movements and have more than earned inclusion. They love that term. In our democracy. So, as to be expected, these weirdos are serious about, let's say, lowering the voting age. And there's so many different angles that I want to talk about this, because I guess I'll start here. I've told y'all democracy is the god that failed. Democracy is not a good thing. It is one of the, I guess, most successful things that the indoctrinators were able to accomplish in convincing people that we just sort of, we look at freedom and justice and righteousness in democracy. I don't, but a lot of people do. So they look at this idea that if you can vote for something, and most people get to vote, or whether it be on a subject matter, whether it be from a government standpoint, putting somebody in office, they think that, okay, it becomes righteous, it becomes good, it becomes just in the event that 51% or up votes for something. Now, it's never been a good thing. It's not a good thing. Now, especially when you consider, not because, I'm saying especially, meaning that it wouldn't be right if these people were smart, but you've probably conversed with a lot of your colleagues, a lot of people that are your age, a lot of your friends, family members, and a lot of them are dumbasses. Let's be 100 about the situation. A lot of them are very, very stupid people. Yet they get to vote and they get to influence things in which impact your personal life that you ultimately wanted no part of. That's why democracy is not a good thing. It is an absolutely evil thing. Now, I would argue that 18-year-olds have absolutely no idea what to. I mean, I was 18 and I didn't know what I was talking about, and I was campaigning for Barack Obama and doing all stuff like that at a very young age when I was a leftist. So I clearly didn't know what the fuck I was talking about, what reality was back at that age. So that was at 18. Now you can imagine at 16 how even more so these people are just absolutely clueless to the real world, yet they want to be able to vote, or rather these people, these Democrats, want them to be able to vote in these sort of, definitely at the federal level, which is what they're discussing here. So I guess it's some of these national elections. So let me get this straight, though. You see, before I go in on the Democrats real quick, let me go in on conservatives and Republicans just briefly, because a lot of you guys don't seem to understand that the people that benefit the most from your ridiculous desire to be so patriotic to the point that you want to save the republic does nothing but benefit the Democrats. That's it. You're trying to play by these rules, which, of course, they get power. They inevitably change it to benefit them. Look, if Democrats, if you think let's think about this. If, let's say, majority of 16-year-olds or something like that, let's assume, wow, we're blurry here. Okay, there we go. Let's assume that they would go support conservatives or Republicans. Do you think they would be wanting to put this idea out there that 16-year-olds should be able to vote? Of course not. They're only doing this because it benefits them. That's the only reason. Why does it benefit them? Well, they have control of the indoctrination camps. And if anything, the COVID-19 nonsense showed you that when it comes to the indoctrination camps. I'm talking about public school systems. They have control of those. Be it the leverage by way of the teachers unions, who often support Democrats. Like, this does nothing but benefit them, and this is why they advocate that. But this is why you hear me like on shows on Blaze, like News and Why It Matters, and I'm always talking about how y'all's desire to try to save and salvage this government, which can't be saved to salvage, but it can be utilized to ruin your life, does nothing. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit people that want liberty or freedom. No, the only people that it benefits is the leftists who use that control to control you. See, I want to pull the rug from under them. I don't want them to have the power. This is why y'all need to just get rid of this whole notion that you can save this institution, particularly in the federal government. When you see the just numerous and vast amounts of crackheads that are able to fill these positions, AOC is an actual rep, bro, or rather a member of government. Ayanna Pressley is an actual rep. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are members of government that have, for whatever reason, definitely folks like myself, they have influence on how Texas runs, or anywhere else for that matter. Like, that's a problem. See, that's why I'm always talking about getting rid of, like, I mean, it's starting to sound less realistic or less unrealistic, if you will. It's starting to sound a lot more realistic to people that were really closed-minded before closed-minded to the idea of secessionism or decentralization, rather getting federal government out of the way of people's affairs. See, they couldn't imagine that because, again, the indoctrination camps work. I always say the most defensive of, like, the federal government and those institutions are academia, right? They will send these experts out there to sit out there and just, man, you guys, we can't do this. It'll lead to this. It'll lead to that, which is why they roll them out. Like, for example, with Texas having an independent, it's not unregulated by the federal government, but with it having like a more independent grid, soon as they could try to point to a failure of it, or they went and pounced on it. Why do you think that's the case? Because they don't want independence. That would strip them of the power. And this is why I'm telling you guys, they are going as far right now, y'all, to try to let these 16-year-olds and up vote, which will matter. It'll matter just as much as yours. Why are y'all so damn hell bent on sharing a government with these lunatics, man? Why? When you see the direction that they are going in, and they'll change the rules on the fly on you, they'll again, low blows, Eddie Guerrero tactics, cheating, lying, stealing. Like, they have no problem doing that. Why are y'all so hell bent on saving the republic? This is why I'm saying that it needs to be eliminated. It doesn't mean that states are independent nations, which is what they effectively become, couldn't be cordial, have agreements with each other, certainly, and when it comes to mutual defense. But this idea that you have this bloated institution that spends steals from you guys, steals trillions of dollars, because really, when it comes to me, I mean, yeah, I get taxed from property-wise to the state of Texas, but the only people taxing my income are the federal government, right? Whew, man, how much more money I would have to do on other things if they weren't taxing me. But nonetheless, you have this institution that's spending so much money making these all these ruling over 50. You got people in Washington, D.C. able to rule over 50 states, man. That's insane when you consider how big America is. But what the Democrats and the leftists have benefit from is that they have this over patriotic, or what they deem as patriotic, is loving American government, which some people make the argument that that's not what it is. And I'm not here to dispute that. I am just saying, you see the rhetoric, oh, we want to save the republic, our republic, our republic, our republic. And I'm like, dude, your desire to save this republic is what's getting you in trouble, because they could continue to be more and more and more powerful. They don't care about the rules by any means. They just care about control. And what if, I told y'all, if you could just imagine if what you deem as the conservative movement moved on the top of their list, decentralization, how powerless these Democrats would be. Doesn't mean that, I mean, by powerless, I mean more powerless, as in like they'd have less power. Let's say that, to be more precise with it. If that decentralization went to the top of the list of policy, so whether it be the constituents, whether it be the politicians, but more so the individuals, said, you know what, we don't want to do this anymore. Y'all have been ruling over us, running this country into the ground, because of nonsensical socialistic policies. I talk about these useless Republicans who y'all always say that, well, you got to support them, right? Well, you want the Democrats to win? What the fuck have Republicans done in the last, I don't know, 3 decades to move us closer to freedom? Absolutely nothing. We've only moved, and that includes your beloved Reagan when it comes to like gun control and stuff like that. We've moved closer and closer to an absolute socialist state. We've not moved closer to liberty. So the Republicans, you got to concede one of the two options. They've either led us to this point, so aided in it, or they've been powerless and were unable to actually stop it from happening. Why on earth are y'all so hell-bent on sharing a government with people that hate you? I just don't get it. I get it. But you get what I mean. Like when you accept that logic. So worried about it. Their front lines. China. What about China? Superpower. If we broke up, they'll just invade. It's like, wow, Denmark and all of these small countries can exist with 5 million people. But God forbid Texas become its own nation. Oh, that just can't happen. Who benefits the most from that? Leftists and Democrats. Because all you're doing is ensuring their power structure. Because you ain't going to do nothing with it. But again, move us to an absolute socialist state. They absolutely will aid in that effort. Now they're wanting to move the voting to the ages of 16 when you know how loony, like, come on, they're growing people, kids, man. And they want them to be able to vote, and it would count just as much as your ass. So my argument has been, why on earth are we sitting here trying to have this conversation about whether or not they get to vote? How about we just make voting at that level not even matter? Because it's not a thing. Because you don't have the power to do that. Wow, what a subject. But these spineless Republicans who benefit from this institution as well, existing as it does in the American government or the federal government, they won't let go. So what they will do is champion. They'll go campaign. Oh, the Republic. Love my country. What has that gotten you? Moving towards an absolute socialist state. They stomp on every freedom that you think that you have. Every area you love your Constitution. Talk my 2A, my Second Amendment. You can't look at the various amounts and vast amounts of federal gun laws that exist in this country and sit here and say that they haven't already crapped on your beloved Second Amendment. That's long gone. They already crossed that bridge. So, one way, and really the only way, to help with this situation is to absolutely remove the power that it is that they have. Not trying to figure out how we get the right people in office to wield the power or wield the ring. No, we take the ring and we chunk that bitch in a pit of fire, and then we go about our business.